Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm going to be reacting to Jnana Yoga, the Path of Knowledge, Swami Sarvapriyananda. So I like to think this is my path, but then when I started thinking about it, I'm maybe like 50-50. Path of Karma, the Path of Action, and Path of Jnana, the Path of Knowledge. I forget what the other paths were. Devotion. I don't think I am necessarily like that at the moment. I don't think I am devoted to a lot of things. So I am not in that path for sure. I don't think so. Maybe this channel is devotion. I'm trying to put a video out every day. Maybe that's devotion. I'm not sure. No, let's go to get started. It's 4 paths, right? Yeah, it's the 4th one.
Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. The path of Advaita Vedanta, which is what I'm calling Jnana Yoga for this purpose of this seminar or this workshop. No, retreat. What am I saying? Seminar, workshop. I'm getting used to the academic language. It's a retreat.
Sorry, I was looking at, he said Jnana, like a G sound versus Jnana. Like a silent N and a J. Jnana. So Jnana, like a G. Like GIF and GIF. That debate. Jnana Yoga. Yeah.
Advaita Vedanta, it drops some bombshells. That we require these 4 yogas to become free of bondage. Advaita Vedanta says, no. You are already free of bondage. You don't have to become one with God. You are one with God.
Makes perfect sense right there. Because, like I was saying a while back when I was first getting into this, whenever they were talking about Advaita Vedanta, where everything is Brahman. So there's no need for realization when you are already the realization, whether you know it or not. That makes perfect sense. And this Maya, this illusion, there's no need to, and this is what makes perfect sense to me anyway. So I'm trying to explain that too. So there's no need to realize that this world's not fake. This is not Maya. This is real. Why? Because it is Brahman. Now, again, the Maya, the way I like to understand Maya, is a misunderstanding, which I can agree with too. Still makes perfect sense with how I understand this. So while people say this is Maya, it's like no, this is real because this is Brahman. In terms of Advaita Vedanta, by the way. So no, this is real. This is Brahman. So this is not Maya. Our understanding of how this and us are separate, that is Maya. That makes perfect sense to me. And I've recently discovered how to best interpret Maya so I understand it better. I don't know if this works for anyone else. Let me know. Some people saying that this world is an illusion, which I'm like, it can't be an illusion. It cannot be real and an illusion at the same time, because if it's Brahman, Brahman's not an illusion, so you can't say Brahman is Maya, because that's not true. It's like saying 1 and 0 are equal, when in reality it's 1 and 1 are equal, or 0 and 0 are equal. So how I interpret Brahman and Maya now, that makes absolute sense in my mind, is that Brahman is, again, all objects, all space, all time, not limited by any of it. I can accept that. Maya is not something separate from Brahman. Maya is the misunderstanding of Brahman. And with that, Maya not being a physical object, it's just... And he does say that now that I think about it, about knowledge, about how you misinterpret the rope. You think it's a snake, but it's really a rope. But then there's been other moments where saying this world is Maya. And that's like, wait. The first was the misunderstanding. Now you're saying this physical object is an illusion. So Maya, to me, to best understand it, is the misunderstanding of the world, misunderstanding of Brahman, misunderstanding of knowledge. And with that, I can completely understand Brahman. I can completely understand Maya. I can completely understand the fact that this is real and it's not fake. Or not Maya, an illusion. It's real. Just, again, the misunderstanding that it's separate from us.
What is the purpose of these 4 yogas? What is the purpose of spiritual life then? The purpose is to correct the error that you are not free, that you are not already Brahman, that Brahman alone is real, the world is an appearance, and you are none other than Brahman. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya, Jiva Brahmeva Napara. This is already a fact right now, as much true for you or I as it is true for Sri Ramakrishna or Ma Sharada or Swami Vivekananda, all the enlightened people. Absolutely true right now. The only difference is we don't think it's true. We feel, no. It may be true ultimately, but right now I am this person. And I have to do a lot of things. 4 yogas I have to do for 40 years, and then only I'll be somewhere near that. No. You are already that. Right now you always were. Our whole problem is this error. Thinking, feeling that it is not so. This error has to be corrected. If you have this error, if we honestly feel to ourselves that, no, I cannot honestly say with conviction that I am Brahman, I am the Absolute, I am free of suffering. In that case, that's an error and that has to be corrected. And that correction of error, how will it happen? Where does error come from? Any kind of error comes from ignorance. The snake is seen as the rope is seen as a snake. Why? It's an error. Why? Because the rope is not known as a rope. The truth is not known. Because of our ignorance of the truth that it's a rope, we tend to see it as a snake.
Or the lack of flashlight. You know, you're walking in the dark, you don't see very clearly, and you think it's a snake, but it's really a rope, so you run away. No, just joking. But yeah, I was just thinking, for some odd reason there, I was thinking it's like you're walking in a warehouse, and because it's dark outside, you can't see clearly, and because you forgot to bring the flashlight. The flashlight's the truth now. The truth is the fact that it's a rope, not a snake.
And the solution is always go to the root of the problem. The root of error is ignorance, and ignorance is removed by knowledge. All we require is the knowledge of our real nature. And that is communicated through Vedanta. Our real nature is already there. So I like that Mullah Nasruddin story, where, Mullah Nasruddin, there are many nice stories. He is a trader. He used to go to a neighboring country trading with his caravan, and he would cross the border. The border guards, the chief of the border guards, always felt that Mullah Nasruddin was a smuggler. So he kept on checking him, double check. Please step out of the line, special checking. TSA? So, double check. This fellow looks suspicious. So I get some special checking sometimes because of this dress, So, and it's interesting. I think they can't be, they can't fault them because I think they have a quota, how much effort they have made. So they have to select somehow. And he looks strange enough. So once I came in from, I think it was from England to New York. When I entered, they said, please come to this room, special room. I saw, all right, special checking. And the room, everybody was either wearing a burqa or they looked like some, gangster. They had tattoos and things like that. I thought, why would you dress like that to come here? You're definitely going to get checked. And the most interesting thing was the person sitting next to me, also for special checking, he was an Arab with a long white dress up to the ankles, and just like the Arabs will, in fact, almost like a cartoon you will see in caricature of a terrorist if you see in Hollywood movie, like that. He has a backpack, which is not letting go. And he has a long beard and a covering, and he's muttering in Arabic. Now, obviously, you're going to get pulled aside for special checking if you behave like that. And so, in the middle of that, I was there. So, this Mullah Nasruddin was always pulled aside for special checking, but they could never find out what he was smuggling. Every time. Many years later, the chief of the border guard, he had retired. One day, he met Mullah Nasruddin, and for a cup of tea. In India, we call dhaba, like a roadside tea stall. He met him there. And he said, "Hey, do you remember me? In those days, I was this guard, I was there. And you used to come with all your goods loaded on the donkey, and then we would check. I know you are smuggling, but everything was legal. I mean, I could not find anything which you are smuggling. So now I have retired, you don't have any worry. Tell me, what is it you are smuggling?" Mullah Nasruddin said, "Very simple, the donkey." So it's right under our nose, and we don't see it because of our preconception.
Wait, what? The donkey? The animal? Or did he shove something in the animal? I mean, how could you, what? Anyways, I was gonna say, it's kind of fair to, check people, but it gets a bit ridiculous if you over and over. I don't know, I mean, I don't know how these people are trained. It's fair to check them out when they look a little bit odd, or you're not familiar with them or whatever, but to do it all the time that they come in, that gets a bit much. Although, that's kind of weird. I don't know anything about a room. That is... I mean, then again, that's generally through international airports, and I guess they have to be kind of, how do I say, not necessarily picky, but liberal with their pickings, because, people will dress in many different ways to smuggle a lot of things in and out of the country.
Sri Ramakrishna told the story of the diamond, the washerman who found the diamond. And the washerman in India, he takes the clothes and he beats it he scrubs it and all on the bank of the river and cleans it and gives it back to you. So the diamond, he didn't know what a diamond was. He thought it's a nice, strange stone, but nice to scrub the clothes. So he would scrub the clothes with the diamond. And after some time, he got a doubt that something is strange about this stone, this rock. Let me show it to my friend, the vegetable seller, who is more knowledgeable than me. Then he goes and tells the vegetable seller, "You look at this, is this anything valuable?" And the vegetable seller says, "I think so. I will give you brinjals, a bag full of brinjals for it." Though that is quite a lot for the poor washerman, he says, "Let me hold on to it. Let me ask somebody else who knows." And finally, he goes to more and more educated people. Finally, he goes to a diamond merchant who says, "Wow, this is the best diamond that I've ever seen, the largest, the best diamond. I will give you 10 million rupees for it." And so all the wants of the washerman, poor washerman, all the wants, all the poverty was removed. Though he had it all the time, he didn't know its value, that it could solve all his problems. He had it. Not only he had it, he was using it. But for scrubbing clothes. We have it. That which can remove every want of ours. Right now, right here it can do that. But we don't recognize it for what it is. We are using it. What are we using it for? We are using it right now. Here, you are using it. You are using it for seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. You are using it for thinking, loving, hating, desiring, inquiring. You are using it for being happy. You are using it for being unhappy. That thing.
The body.
That inner awareness, which we all have. We all feel it. But we don't know what it is. Vedanta just introduces us to it. What does Vedanta do? If everything is perfect, then why do we need Vedanta? Vedanta says, correct. If you feel everything is perfect in your life, then you don't need me. All our problems are due to ignorance. And the solution is knowledge. That sounds like we have heard it so many times, we don't You don't see what a tremendous assertion that is. If our problems are due to ignorance, there are really no problems. If solution is due to knowledge, that solution is already there with you.
That's true. That's kind of funny. That is true, though. So basically, you always have knowledge. You are never ignorant of anything, even though you are. But because you're ignorant of it, you don't know that you have that problem. So therefore, you have knowledge. That's hilarious. And there's a saying. I wonder if he'll ever bring up this saying. Ignorance is bliss. Because it's kind of like. I guess there's a few examples in movies and stuff about like your time of death, like oh you're gonna die in 7, or like even real life with people with like terminal diseases say you're gonna die in like 6 months. Now you're sitting here thinking about that day, but if you never went to the doctor or don't know when you're gonna die, you're just gonna live your day like every other day to a degree, to as much as you can, but because you already know you have a terminal disease, but you just don't know when you're gonna die. So you're living in partial ignorance there. You can live your life partially. Partially. You can live your life partially fully. Because you don't know when you're gonna die, but you just know you're gonna die. So you'll always have that in the back of your head that I'm gonna die, I just don't know when. But if you don't know when you're gonna die, you're gonna live like it's just any other day. Tomorrow you could die and you wouldn't even know it. And if you're living a happy life, you're in bliss, not even knowing that you're. That's the reason. I do believe that's one of the reasons why they say ignorance is bliss. I wonder if he'll ever say that. And I'm wondering, curious as to what his thoughts on that is.
In Hindi they say, what does Vedanta do? Praptasya prapti nivrittasya nivritti. Vedanta gives you what you already have, and it removes what was never there. A samsara which does not exist is removed. That absolute nature which you are, that Brahman, Satchidananda, that perfection which religion, spirituality promises, you already are that. Vedanta gives it to you. Gives it to you means, within quotes, introduces. Look, here it is.
Okay.
And when we become enlightened, we say, oh, I always was that. My God, I never thought of it.
Mm-hmm.
See, the 4 yogas, in the context of the 4 yogas, Bhakti says your lack of devotion is the problem. Yoga says your restlessness of mind is the problem, hence meditate. Bhakti says lack of devotion is the problem, hence have faith.
Okay, it's meditation.
But Vedanta
yoga.
says, no, it's not a question of faith. It's not even a question of meditation or not meditating. It's a question of knowing or not knowing, realizing or not realizing. So, in Vedanta, the spiritual journey is from ignorance to knowledge. I often say, it's not a journey in space. You don't have to go somewhere, heaven, a holy place, Vrindavan, Vaikuntha, Kailasha, heaven. No. You don't have to wait that after death, after the next. People ask, Ramakrishna was an avatar, that's not so interesting, but he said he will come again. Didn't he say that? Very much interested. What will happen? This time he came, what has happened to you? Nothing. Next time he comes, I can predict, nothing will happen to you. Not after the coming of the Messiah or the next incarnation, no. You say, yes, that's all right, but after Samadhi, right? No. So all that Samadhi will reveal to you is what you already have. All right, after enlightenment, Brahmajnana, enlightenment, that's what Advaita promises. After enlightenment, it's not that you will become Brahman, you will see that you always were Brahman. So this is the bombshell which it drops. Another thing bombshell it drops is that the method is knowledge. The method in bhakti is emotion. It uses the heart, our passions, our desires, and channels them Godward. The method in yoga is the mind. It concentrates the mind, focuses. The method in jnana is Understanding, the faculty of understanding.
And maybe that's the reason why I say the path of knowledge, because the things that I keep saying is, well, one, being taking responsibility, but two, understanding. That being a very big thing for me. Because if you can understand why certain things happen, you can, how do I say, you can solve the problem or not worry about the problem. Because if you can't do anything about the problem, then you understand that there's nothing you can do, and hopefully you won't worry about it. Emotions are obviously a completely different story. That all depends on the individual, how emotional they are. But yeah, if there's nothing you can do, then there's no point in worrying. But if you can do something, then there's two things you can do. You can either not do anything about it, or you can do something about it. And then, or I'm sorry, if you can do something about it, either you choose not to do anything about it, or you choose to do something about it. If you don't do anything about it, then don't worry, because you're choosing not to do anything about it. If there is something you can do, and if you choose to do something about it, then do it. But yeah, my two things so far is responsibility and understanding.
I'm not saying knowledge. People keep saying knowledge, but people are misunderstand. The moment you say knowledge, it means maybe reading a lot of books, knowing many things. Not in that sense. Jnana Yoga, I sometimes like to use the term insight yoga.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's like when people think of, at least from the people that I've interacted with, they think of knowledge as in learning a lot of things, learning about survival, learning about driving, learning about playing a game, or learning about soccer, or learning about mathematics, physics, biology, engineering, knowledge. That's knowledge. That is knowledge. But there are many kinds of knowledge, I suppose. And I kind of figured that knowledge would be more along the lines of inner knowledge. Or what I'd like to say, actually, more than knowledge. Well, I guess knowledge falls along the lines of intellect and wisdom, depending on which knowledge you're talking about. Knowledge of people, your surroundings, your environment, which is wisdom, or knowledge in terms of mechanics, engineering, biology, science, math, whatever, that's intellect.
It's just one thing that you have to know, or more than know, it's one insight that we need, that's all. Just one breakthrough, one insight, and then it's done. So what is that? And this is also the one yoga, the third bombshell is, what was the first one? The first one is you are already that.
That's the second one.
What was the second one? You just need insight, knowledge. Knowledge is the way. It's a very big thing to say, because we have been programmed to do things. Therefore, in bhakti, it's not difficult to understand. We have to believe and worship. Fine. Yoga, not difficult to understand. We have to do this kind of meditation. Fine. Karma yoga, I understand. I have to do unselfish work. Jnana yoga, after, even when we say, yes, the method is knowledge, I understand. But after listening to a class for a few months, few years, they'll come and say, now what do we do? See, word, do. I want something to do. I remember I used to attend the classes of a sadhu in the Himalayas and Haridwar. Very great teacher of Vedanta. In his lifetime itself is regarded as a Jivan Mukta, enlightened person. A young monk comes to him. In front of me I saw a young man who has become a monk, comes to him and asks, so I've taken sannyasa now, I've become a monk, a Vedantic monk. Now what do I do? The Swami chuckled and he said in Hindi, wahi to kya
live
karoge
life,
ab?
I guess,
What will
right?
you do now? What will you do now? Some of you know Swami Atma Priyanandaji. He is the Vice Chancellor of our university. When he became a monk, he told us the story. So when you become a sannyasi, you're given by the Guru the Mahavakya. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Now before that we have been given other practices. For example, when you get mantra diksha, you are given a mantra to repeat. When we get brahmacharya diksha, there is another Gayatri mantra to repeat, and the other practices are there. So once you become a sannyasi, certain things are given to you, including this Mahavakya. Mahavakya is the identity statement. Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, Prajnanam Brahma. I am Atma Brahma. Or they all mean the same thing. This very self is the absolute. That thou art. I am Brahman. Or consciousness is this awareness I feel inside just now. This scrubbing stone is the diamond. Stone is the diamond. Right now. I am Atma Brahma. This very self is Brahman. This very awareness is Brahman, absolute. But how? We think how? So, when they became monks, he said, you get a chance after taking the vows of monasticism, becoming the newly minted monk. So first you are 10 years brahmachari, a novice, then you become a monk. And the next day, it's all changed for you. Now you are wearing this dress and you don't have that sacred tuft of hair anymore. This is clean shaven. And now you are Swami so-and-so, not brahmachari so-and-so. And just in case you are feeling too grand, senior Swami will tell you, all that has happened is you have gone from being the senior most brahmachari to the junior most Swami. Anyway, one thing is you get a chance to ask a question to the president of the order, who is the only one authorized to give you the vows of sannyasa. So they all went in their time when they became monks, Atma Priyanji and his cohort, here they will say cohort. And the question they asked was, this Mahavakya, I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. So how many times are we to repeat it? Mantra, you see? That same psychology is there, repeating the mantra. How many times are we to realize it? And Swami Gambhiranandaji was the president of the order. He was a man of few words. In Sanskrit, Gambhira means profound and serious. And whatever it means distinctly non-humorous. Not a person to be
joking with?
Taken lightly. So he was sitting, he was president of the order, he would sit with his eyes closed. And Swami Atma Priyanji showed this. He said, eyes closed. And they came and said, Swami, we had this question. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. How many times are we to repeat it? He said, it is not for repetition, it is for realization. Any other question? No? You may go. Same thing, it is for realization. As that Swami said in Uttarakhand, Vahi to kya karo, what will you do now? Yes, you are right, what will you do now?
Well, that's the one time. You just have to say it once. Once you realize it, that's it. That's my assumption too.
The very idea, this question that I have to do something now, shows that I have not understood it. No, I have understood what you said, but now what do I do? You have not understood.
Yeah. Live life. That's it. Once you've come to realization.
Another great teacher of Vedanta was there in our training center. Again, this story is from Atma Priyanji. His name was Mukhyanandaji. And I've seen him in his old age. He was a great Vedantin, non-dualist. He had a little beard, and which is rare for monks of our order. We are usually clean shaven. A little beard and a little long hair. And he always used to feel hot. So he had a little bamboo fan. And his way of blessing, all senior monks bless if you bow down. His way of blessing was to tap you on the head with the fan. I've been tapped many times, His way of introducing this concept of knowledge versus doing something. He would come to the class like this. All the novices would be sitting, and he would come. He had a high-pitched voice. He would say, the grass is green. And all the young novices would look at each other, confused. Yes, the grass is green. No? We don't get it. What do you mean, grass is green? Get me a glass of water. Immediately one of them should, yes, that I can do. Fool, sit down. Here is the difference between the Advaitic approach and every other approach. Get me a glass of water is a commandment to action. All this is a very simplified way of putting a lot of things which Shankaracharya has said, distinguishing the Jnana Kanda from the Karma Kanda. The Vedas have a ritualistic portion and a knowledge portion. A ritualistic portion is full of do's and don'ts. And
I was going to say one's observation and one's action.
They may be difficult to practice, but you know what you're supposed to do. It's very clear. The Upanishad portion the whole point is to inform us and point out something so that we get an insight into our real nature. It is to tell us the value of the diamond. It is to point out the donkey, which we are missing all the time. So grass is green is like that.
Okay, going back to that donkey story. It's weird. He's illegally smuggling a donkey, yet somehow this guard completely does not realize it's a donkey or something? And how does he leave the place? I guess maybe he drops everything off there, then goes back and grabs a new donkey and cart?
It's a factual statement. That thou art, aham brahmasmi. It's a statement like that. Grass is green may not be a useful statement to you, but aham brahmasmi is a most useful statement to us. Why is it useful? Because if you understand it, if you grasp it, all your problems are solved. But all problems, of course, remember, what did the Buddha say? Second arrow. But it's solved immediately. That's the other bombshell which Advaita Vedanta drops. Another one. That what Advaita is trying to tell us is instantaneous, right now. And even better, it is effortless. I can see many smiles coming. It's, oh, all
No
the others
effort.
seem so much hard work. Bhakti yoga, karma yoga, raja yoga, and it takes so much time. But Jnana yoga, what Advaita Vedanta says, is instantaneous, right here, right now, effortless also. It may take a lot of time and lot of effort to come to that instant. That is there. That is there. That's the fine print. Often you find there's a whole popular movement of Neo-Advaita. The direct method teachers, very popular in USA and in some other parts of the world, Western world now, who say these things, what I've said just now. And they even go further, which I will not say. They say that the other yogas are not necessary. What is the need for all of that? You are Brahman. Does Brahman need to meditate? No, don't meditate. Does Brahman, whom will you be devoted to? You are Brahman. There's no other God to be devoted to, so no bhakti.
I was thinking that, like, but I was thinking, yeah, this is the only path that you really need once you come to realization. But I have a feeling those other paths are still useful to help maintain this bliss state. And I was just thinking a little bit earlier, I didn't say anything about it because the subject matter didn't come up, but I think to the people who are potentially maybe more emotional than other people, I'm wondering if the path of bhakti will be best suited for them, the devotion path, so that they can, or maybe even the yoga path, focused mind. I don't know, but the reason why I think bhakti is because, generally speaking, I do believe people emotional they can focus that emotion on something. To have a clear mind and maybe not necessarily unstable emotion, but just with a high emotion, I guess, it's very difficult to have a clear mind with a very strong emotion. So that's just my theory. I could be completely wrong. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to work for everyone, but I have a feeling maybe the devotion path is greater for people who are more emotional, and maybe who are less emotional, the path of yoga will follow that for them very well. And then my path that I seem to really lean towards is karma and Jnana yoga. Jnana, the path of knowledge, understanding, or the path of understanding, path of knowledge, and the path of action. I mean, I'm not perfect in both paths at all, but hey, if I get 50-50, that equals 100, right? Good enough, I guess.
And karma yoga, doing good to the world. The world is an appearance, it's false, it's an illusion. What good will you do? Will you start organizations to help people and feed them?
Let me rewind that a little bit, because...
Don't meditate. Does Brahman, whom will you be devoted to? You are Brahman, there's no other God to be devoted to, so no bhakti. And karma yoga, doing good to the world is an appearance, it's false, it's an illusion. What good will you do? Will you start organizations to help people and feed the poor in your dreams, once you know it's a dream? No, you won't. None of them are necessary. You realize?
Whoa, you can't say the world is a dream if it's Brahman, which is reality, so therefore it cannot be a dream. So I still do believe in karma in terms of doing good to other people. You don't necessarily have to start organizations. Merely holding the door open for someone who is holding something or whatever is a path of good action. Simple things, not just because holding a door open is not much, but that's still small baby steps towards karma yoga.
Your Brahman finished. But you will notice one thing, a couple of things about that. One is, in most cases, the teachers, I'm not saying that they are false or they are wrong. Some of them do, I feel, have a deep insight. They have made a breakthrough. But the problem is, you will notice those teachers, they have spent many, many years searching themselves. They've put in in each case, 10, 20, 30 years, or even if it was some of them spontaneously awakened, quite a lot of struggle at that time. So that is there. The second thing you will notice is those whom they are teaching this to, not many seem to be benefited. You will see people surrounding, they suddenly feel, I got it, after some time again.
Yes, and that's the thing, is the fact that that's the reason why I don't necessarily say not trust per se, but whenever someone say they got it like right then and there, it's like, no, it takes some time to realize things. Someone who gets it almost immediately, like, especially unless they thought about it, obviously. If they thought about it for a long time, then all of a sudden they get it, okay. But if they never thought about it and they say they got it, they didn't get it. There are a few people who can, but those are an extreme minority. It's extremely rare. Also wanted to say one more thing, I guess. The two paths that I follow, maybe, I think are the more common paths, and the paths that I think everyone probably should take. The path of knowledge and the path of action. That's something that, well, I was say tangible in the world, but not really. That's more karma, tangible in the sense that you are, holding a door open for someone or giving a little bit to charity or whatever. And I think the yoga path and the bhakti path are something more specific, I think finely tuned for people who are either more emotional or less emotional. I think maybe one of those two paths falls within them. I don't know. I mean, having to follow all four paths, that is a lot, and if someone chooses to do that, that's fine. But I think for me, I'm not that emotional, but I am not emotionless, or less emotional, I guess. I'm maybe balancing that, but the path of knowledge and the path of karma seems like a good path for me.
Why? Even in the few cases where the message they're transmitting is correct, genuine, powerful, direct, very good, unless the preparation is there, it will not be received. Transmitter is working, but receiver is not working. To switch on the receiver and tune it, it requires karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga. Even for this direct path, the other yogas are preparatory and necessary. This was well understood in India for thousands of years. Otherwise, they wouldn't have said it. One great teacher of Advaita in Uttarakhand, talking about bhakti, one of the greatest teachers, I've never met him, I've read, unfortunately those books are in Hindi, so it's not accessible to the English reading public. A little bit that is available. So they're being asked, what is the role of bhakti and jnana? Is it necessary for each other? He said, for those who are on the path of bhakti, jnana is not necessary. Not necessary means whatever is necessary, God will give. If you hold on to the path of bhakti sincerely, whatever is necessary will come to you. You need not worry separately about going to Vedanta retreat. You practice your bhakti. But he said, for those on the path of jnana, bhakti is a must. Or bhakti is very useful. Do you know why? Because our real problem at the beginning of spiritual life and for a long time are the impurities of our minds, are the problems in samskaras in our mind. And knowledge, the teachings which we get from Vedanta, they, at least at the beginning, they work at the level of the intellect. So many things we may begin to understand, but we'll find we are unable to do it in life. We are unable to manifest them in day-to-day life. Why? Because the obstructions are at the level of our samskaras. The heart is the problem, not the intellect. And bhakti works directly at the heart level. See, to oversimplify, I did not know these things, that I am Brahman, the world is an appearance, we are one reality. Now I know these things. That's one level. But I want the world. That's another level. So that I want level still remains untouched, even when the I know changes. Do you see where I'm coming at?
I was going to say, why bhakti? Why not yoga? Focused mind, so that you can focus on the things that you want and have a clear path that you create once you've obtained Jnana yoga. Once you obtain that, once you come to the realization, once you figure out who the I is, why not either, again, the path of, if you're an emotional person, I would believe the path of bhakti would be probably the best. And if you're more of a logical person, as opposed to emotional, the clear mind would be the path of yoga, I believe. Meditation, Jnana yoga. Is it Raja yoga then? I've probably been saying that wrong. The path of clear mind would help you create that path to success or whatever it is that you want.
Now this leads to an imbalance where you will feel, I have understood many things, but I am not able to do it in life. Why am I not able to do it in life? Plato said famously, to know the good is to be good. We immediately feel, no, that's wrong. He is right actually, but that's wrong because the problem is with us. To know the good is to be good when you are a fully integrated person. What you know to be good, you will do it. If you see the lives of saints, Sri Ramakrishna and others, what they thought to be right, they did it. They had no problems doing it. They went straight ahead and did it. Even the most difficult spiritual practices, they did it. But we have a contradiction between our heart and our head because our desires are not purified. What bhakti does for the jnana yogi, for the person on the path of knowledge, what bhakti does for you, it purifies the heart. Devotion to God, it turns the desires which are flowing towards the world, it turns them towards God, so that they are no longer obstruction to your jnana.
I will say this, the focused mind path, which I think is the Raja, I believe, I'm not sure. I've not heard him say anything about that, although I know he says the focused mind. I assume that is clearing your thoughts of distractions, focusing on the things that you want. It could be karma as well, but I definitely got to hear that out before I say that. But that's my assumption on that particular yoga path.
Even more, it invites the blessings of God on your spiritual path. Very powerful help. There is a way of trying to walk by yourself. Sri Ramakrishna said, the child who tries to walk holding the hand of the father may slip and fall. But if the father holds your hand, then it's unlikely to slip and fall. So, when the father holds your hand means when you take the refuge of God. So all the yogas are useful for jnana. So this is another bombshell that it is directly available and effortlessly so, but fine print preparations are necessary. Alright. It is also the only one of the yogas, because it is directly available, instantaneous, it can be demonstrated here and now.
Oh wow, really?
So let's see. We have half an hour for enlightenment. No, no, more than that. We have 1 hour, 1 full hour for enlightenment. Very good.
You only need 1 second because it's instantaneous.
Ashtavakra, one of the most radical texts of Advaita Vedanta. There are many, many texts. One of the most radical texts of Advaita Vedanta, Ashtavakra. In the very first chapter, he says, Yadi deham prithak kritya chiti vishramya tishtasi adhunaiva sukhi shanto bandha mukto bhavishyasi. If you can see yourself as not the body and rest in pure awareness, adhunaiva, right now, sukhi, perfectly happy, shanta, peaceful, beyond all suffering, bandha mukta, free of bondage, bhavishyasi, you will be. Right now, you will be enlightened, attain to bliss, transcend suffering, be free of bondage, moksha. You will get moksha. When? Now. How? If you can see yourself as not the body, but as consciousness, and rest in that. Yadi, if. And that if is a big point. If basically means spiritual life. That we have already discussed. The difference between ordinary religion, pravritti dharma, and nivritti dharma. In Karma Yoga we talked. So I want enlightenment. So that is the if you want that. Deham prithakritya. And so let us see, can we demonstrate it right now? See, here it is. The method of, I'll quickly talk about 3 methods by which we can have this insight, which I talked about, this one insight. 3 methods. The Drigdrishya Viveka method is my favorite. You often used to talk about that. Remember, none of these 3 methods are actually going to give you Advaita. That's only the first step to Advaita. There's one more step to be taken. So always remember, in Advaita, not 2. There are 2 steps. I've given a talk. 2 steps to not 2.
Yeah, I was going to say not
The
2.
first step is not Advaita. First step, you will see, as we do it, you will see, some of you will feel, this is just what we talked about in Sankhya. The first step is entirely borrowed from Sankhya. But the second step takes you to Advaita. And you cannot take the second step directly. The first step has to be taken. 2 steps to not 2. So Drigdrishya Viveka, I talk about that. One Uttarakhand sadhu, I remember he said, in Hindi, I'll tell you the translation, ये जो बहुत दृष्टा दृश्य करते रहते हैं ना, ये कच्चे वेदांती हैं. These people, who keep talking about Drigdrishya, seer and the seen, these are unripe, immature non-dualists. Why? Here's a point. Because he says that's only the first step. That's not non-duality. But still, we must take the first step, and then only. How does it work? It works like this. In 4 stages. It starts with a very simple and deeper and deeper and deeper. From the physical to the subtle to the causal. It goes like that. So let's see. We start with the easiest. Rupam drishyam lochanam drik. It says the seer and the seen are separate. The seer and the seen are always separate. You are seeing, the simple act of seeing, physically seeing. And what you are seeing, this book. Literally your eyes and the book are different. Your eyes can see the book only because the book is separate from your eyes. Your eyes are the seer and the book is the seen. And remember, we always identify ourselves with the seer. In any situation, when you are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, your experience is, I am the one who is seeing, and this is seen. These are seen. I am the one who is tasting. This is taste. You never feel that when you are eating the food is tasting me. I am tasting the food. So I am always on the side of the experiencer, the subject, and everything else is an object to me. So the seeing, the eyes are the seer, and the forms are seen. And the forms are different from the eyes. True, the forms are different from the eyes. If the forms were not different, you could not see them. In fact, the limit of the eyes, what the eyes cannot see are the eyes themselves. You see, the eyes cannot see themselves. You don't seem convinced. So what about a mirror, Swami? You are seeing a reflection of the eyes in the mirror. The way the eyes are seeing the mirror themselves, that way the eyes are unable to see themselves.
I wonder what he would say to this. I'm always so nitpicky, I know, but it's just curiosity, though. There are some people who can, like, their eyes look like they're about to pop out, and they're also on a nerve ending. So some people's eyes actually come out and fall out, like, right hanging under their cheeks, so they can probably do like that, like face the eye to the eye. That's weird. Only because, the only reason why I wouldn't say notice for a fact, but I'm pretty sure it is possible. But like during war or boxing and stuff, I'm sure that has happened where the eyes just fell out the socket because they've been hit so hard, and then you see the nerve and like the eyes just hanging there. So I'm curious as to Curious what to do. Do these like how do they see? Because usually when we look, we see a complete picture, but when you're one of your eyes looking down and the other eye's looking straight ahead, what does that picture look like? Oh man, I don't want to experience that, but I'm just curious though. And then if someone does that and make them look into their own eye, whoa, I wonder what the brain, how does that get processed?
Yeah. You see a selfie, that's a picture of your eyes. Though that's not the eyes seeing the eyes directly. So the eyes can only see something separated at a distance from them. Separated. Now, consider the eyes themselves. My eyes are open, my eyes are closed. I could see so well earlier, now I need glasses. All these things about the eyes themselves become the object. To whom? Who is the subject now? The mind. Who is thinking all these things? The mind. The mind is observing the eyes. Why only the eyes? The eyes, the ears, the nose, the skin, the tongue, the entire body in fact. It becomes an object to the mind. The mind considers the body. So the mind is the seer and the eyes or the entire body is the seen. Seer and seen are different. Clearly mind is different from the eyes. Are you with me? It's actually a very simple observation. Mind is different from the eyes. That's why your psychiatrist and your ophthalmologist are two different people. Because your mind is different from the eyes.
What about the foot and the hand doctors? Or your foot and hand, well I mean, the skin doctor, I suppose, the dermatologist, okay.
Mind is the seer, the eyes, the other sense organs, the entire body, they're the seen, it's an object. And which one are you? Are you the body or the mind? You'll always say I am the mind because I always see myself as the subject, not as an object. And always check with your experience. That's the beauty of Vedanta. All these are not theoretical constructs. They may seem to be nice things to learn and sometimes they're surrounded with fancy Sanskrit vocabulary, but they're always referring to your living experience right now. Which is not true of, say, yoga. Yoga demands practice and then you will attain those experiences. But eyes are the seer and the microphone is the seen. It's living experience. Mind is the seer and the body is something that is seen. It's living experience right now. See it in your experience. Then go deeper. Third, Rupam drishyam lochanam drik tad drishyam drik tu manasam. The eyes are the seen and the mind is the seer. Go deeper. Drishyadhi vrittaya sakshi. Your mind. What now we know. What is the mind? The vrittis. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, activity of the buddhi, activity of the ego, activity of the manas, we saw. So chitta vritti, those are all experienced. Are they not experienced? Happy. Happy feeling. I am happy. It was a happy song, became very popular. Yes. So you are feeling happy. That's why you can sing the happy song. There was also another song, Lama song. It says, happy Lama, what? Happy Lama, then Mama Lama, then mentally disturbed Lama. There's a song. So even the Lama knows it's mentally disturbed. And this Lama is capital two L's. So the mind is also, the movements of the mind, they are also known. Thoughts, feelings, emotions are also known. If they are known, then who was the knower? The seer. Seer now no longer with the eyes. You're the experiencer of the objects in your mind, the feelings, thoughts, emotions in the mind. If they're experienced, who is experiencing? The minimum we can say is, I am experiencing my mind. I am experiencing the contents of my mind. If I am experiencing the contents of my mind, I must be different from the mind. Why? Seer and seen.
This is where I may slightly disagree with them. Again, and I have no proof of this. This is just my working theory on that. Well, not even working theory, just a theory on that. It's the fact that the mind is... There are different sections of the mind, different lobes of the mind, different workings of the mind. Just because he's categorizing the mind as one whole complete thing when the body is not like... the arms are part of the body, but not the body. So the chest, the stomach region, the legs, all those are separate parts of the body that works differently. You can't pick up... I don't think you can pick up anything with your belly, or your chest, or your knees, like your hands can. You cannot necessarily stand on your hands for, say, couple hours to walk around all day in your hands. Some people can. People generally who don't have legs, they adapt to it. But generally speaking, you know, if you don't have legs, you more than likely will be bound to a wheelchair. Or you can't see with your fingers. Again, exception is the people who are blind. They see by feeling, but they don't see. You can't eat with your hands. Again, different parts of the body do different things. Same thing with the mind is my theory. So there may be a section in your mind that does the I portion. There's the right lobe of your brain controls the left portion of your body, and the left controls the right, which is weird. Don't know why it's wired like that. I think that's what I've heard last. And then there's the frontal cortex, and then the back portion of your brain. There's the right, left, front, back. Then there's middle parts in between that does a whole bunch of different things. And my thoughts is the fact that maybe this I portion is somewhere in the frontal cortex, I think. But again, I don't know. I don't know if this is something that science may be able to answer someday, but we may lack the technology for it.
Here we are getting into deep waters. Up to this point, stage 1, stage 2, everybody accepts, common sense. The stage 3 is now deep waters. I remember the first time I heard about this, there was one Vidyadhar Maharaj, old Swami, has passed away now. At that time I did not know all this Drigdrishya Viveka. I had just joined the order as a new brahmachari. And one day we were walking and he talks about this, and he says, observe the mind, and then beyond the mind. I said, beyond the mind, if I think about it, it's a darkness, it's a blankness. And what is beyond the mind? If I try to think about it, just my mind goes blank. And he said, yes, that blankness is to stutter. That blankness, that which is beyond that blankness, catch that. You can't catch it, you are it. That which is beyond the blankness, that which is actually the experiencer of the movements of the mind. Drishya dhivrittaya sakshi. Dhivrittaya means the vrittis, chitta vrittis. They are also drishya. They are also seen. Seen, of course, in the sense of first person experience in the mind. Is seen by what is seeing them. That which is seeing them cannot be the mind, because it's seeing the mind. Seer and seen are different. And one more thing we can say about that one which is seeing the mind is that it must be consciousness, because it is aware after all. So that conscious witness of the mind is called sakshi, witness. Stage 3. And that witness, how do we know that? It's very interesting, Swami, I never thought of that. I would like to know that. Sorry, you can't know that. 4th stage. The stage 4 is Drishyadhivrittaya sakshi drigeva natu drishyate. The seer is never seen.
You cannot experience yourself as something he also said, which I thought about that. It's like, yeah, that's yeah.
Which seer? The ultimate seer is never seen. When the eyes are the seer and the object is seen, eyes are the seer. But these eyes themselves become the seen. Who is the seer? Mind. Mind itself becomes the seen. Who is the seer? Sakshi, the witness.
Oh.
But Sakshi never becomes seen. It is the ultimate seer. It is the real seer. Remember, on which side are you? Seer or seen?
Seer.
Are you subject or object?
Subject.
Subject. So if Sakshi is the ultimate seer, Sakshi is the ultimate subject, you are that Sakshi. And you never become an object. You never become an object of knowledge. You cannot know that. Don't be disappointed. It's not that you cannot know it. You are more than, it's more than known. Swami Vivekananda would say in the Jnana Yoga lectures again, he says that this self is never the object of knowledge. It is always the knower, never the known. But you must not go away with the idea. These are his words. You must not go away with the idea that it is unknown. It is more than known. First it is the self which is known, and then only everything else is known through that. So, Drigeva natu drishyate means the self, the witness, the seer never becomes the seen. It means you are never an object. You are ever the subject, the real you. But that real you is not a body. The body is an object. The senses are an object. The mind is an object. The witness of the mind, senses, body is not an object. That's the real you.
All right, I'm gonna have to pause right here. It's gone a bit long, but I can agree with that though. That the fact that this consciousness that he talks about is something that cannot be experienced, is something that cannot be known in third person's perspective. I guess it can only ever be known first person, subjectively, like he's talking about, as opposed to objectively, which I can completely agree. Anyways, that's part 1 of Jnana Yoga, the Path of Knowledge. Swami Sarvapriyananda. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.